I was never really into games like Pac-Man. What was I into? I don't know, some of the games. I think Dune 2, things like that, where the predecessors to the current games that were a bit more complex.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, it was sort of real-time strategy games or, turn-based games.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so which is one step
Doom
away
and all
from
that.
how do they make that? Because they're
Well, that's
clearly
how it all
right.
started. Was we were all like when I was at uni, I'd already decided I don't know to study it because it just seemed like a boom industry, and it was. It was a massively booming industry. And back then, you'd play Doom on your computer, and you could modify it. You could do stuff. You could get into the code and dick with it. And so that's where most good programmers actually learn their craft. You don't learn programming by going to uni and listen to a failed, programmer tell you stuff that if he was any good would have been doing the work himself, because there's so much work out there back then.
Do you know how to hack things then?
Well, what I mean.
Well, yeah, see, your version of the computer is completely different to all of ours.
For sure, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
no, I was
can
there
see
from
it like
start,
the engine,
yeah.
geez,
Yeah.
the petrol that's going into it.
And that doesn't make it easy. Like, building stuff from bare metal up is a lot of work, but I know how to do it and I've done it. But that doesn't mean that if I need to build a website, I'm not going to use WordPress. That's sort of the mentality. You're sort of standing on the shoulders of giants. Why would you rewrite all of this code that someone's already written and tested? Yeah. So yeah, like you say, it's. I guess it's probably like the film industry. I'm not an expert on the film and TV industry, but it's very democratized. It's a lot easier to get into, and man, it just got quiet in here.
Well, the aircon probably just yeah.
That's good. Oh, well, it's not too. We've got some cold drinks here.
Yep. Oh,
appreciate it.
Seriously, mate.
Yeah, it is great.
I think we covered everything. Again, I always want everyone to come back because there's the second time round is
well. Oh, I mean,
where we're not explaining everything to each other.
Sure, yeah.
It's like just more like what do we think about things is the next time round. So after Japan.
Yeah, well, I'm really keen to get your thoughts on Japan.
Once you get back from Japan, I'd love to
show you some holiday snaps.
Yeah, man. Just have you ever checked out that website English?
No, I think I've seen some internet sort of pictures.
Hilarious.
Yeah, where
English.com where
because the letters look cool.
You see that every day in Japan. Like everything, be it like a breath mint packet, like they well known for growing. No, this is our English. Like
exactly, yeah.
It's.
And that's what we'll be doing when we're there. We'll be sort of trying to convey all of these funny, cool little things, and so it'll be even harder core filming than we're used to doing. We're only going for 4 days, and we'll probably get enough material out of it. We won't do whole episodes just on Japan. We'll sort of have segments, and we'll come back to it. But we'll get so much material out of it because every meal we eat will be interesting. Every journey we make will be interesting. Yeah.
It's a funny place, mate. It's like Surfers Paradise. You come 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Most people start at 10 and finish around 10.
Okay.
And they drink so much. Like, you can buy, just like America, you can buy all your alcohol at the local shop, like the local 7,
Yeah.
And so nighttime, everyone just gets hammered, and pubs are hard to find. Like, they're basically like 10 or 12 people in a room. Pubs,
well, Ado said where we're staying, it's just next to this street where all of it's lined with these little pubs with maybe 10 seats in each.
Yeah.
So you can do about a 10-meter pub crawl.
Yeah. But sometimes you like, you don't know if you're welcome in them, and because they don't really have like a sign out the front as such. It's not like we see a tavern.
Yeah, and it's
in
obvious.
Australia, it's so obvious. People are hanging over the railings.
Yeah.
So you often go, I don't know. But
is it a private party or something?
Yeah. And like, and people go, Westerners just, not that you're not invited there. We're super friendly people, but it's like, we've never had one of you in here. Like, I don't know.
Really, even these days?
Yeah, but not for racist reasons. More like...
Just, it doesn't happen.
It depends on what... Well, if you're going to that part of Tokyo, I'm sure.
I had the impression there's a lot of expats in Japan.
Oh, but most definitely.
Yeah.
But
expat Aussies.
But at the same time, there's a bar opening just tomorrow.
Yeah.
That it caters just for this sort of certain clique of people.
Yeah, right.
It's very because it's just this small little thing.
Well, yeah,
You
they
might
got
stumble in going, whoa, what are these goths?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I know they've got their real sort of their tribes and their fashions, and like there'll be a group that just dresses like,
Maids
1960s era bikers or something. They won't have bikes; they'll just dress that way.
That's right.
That's their thing.
Yeah,
so you're saying there's pubs for each of these as well?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
And I don't even know them because,
yeah.
Again, I don't want to. I've only been in a couple. One was like a sea. It was all about the sea, and we're in the middle of Yokohama. And
all right.
But the barman actually said, "You're the first Gaijin, white guy,
Yeah.
that's ever been in this pub."
Wow.
And it's years old, so it's just because of that reason. You either get invited into them or you just walk by them. You don't even know what they do behind that door.
Okay.
But they've got all sorts of fun things.
Speaking of Yokohama, did you see any racing while you were there?
No, never. But I always wished I did.
Well, we're going to some street drifts somewhere, but yeah, we're pretty much staying in Tokyo, so we're not getting out into the country or anything. We don't have enough time. But yeah, apparently there's some kind of street drifting event that we're going to check out.
Brilliant. Well, I'm going to help you out when over there. We've got 2 brother-in-laws that will
super
guide
handy.
you out. And,
awesome.
Again, it's all who you know in that town. Like, do they pass the test? They're there. Okay, let's show them everything.
Yeah.
And in no time, you'll be sculling sake.
For sure. And that tends to happen. But the thing is that the camera that we'll be walking around will be sort of nothing special. It'll be the same one that everyone's got, sort of thing.
Okay.
So we won't obviously be a TV show. But against that, we're going to the the Tokyo AFL club, for example. Yeah, there's a whole bunch.
That.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we'll start off there, and we're going to a baseball game, and we've got a few things planned like that. But
baseball games are the best.
It just looks huge, and I love all the rules they've got.
Yeah, and they sit in silence, and you've got the opposing team over there.
Yeah,
and then if the opposing team are batting, everyone stays in silence, like respect. No one's like, oh, that was. Oh, oh, Jono, none of that.
How do they even sell hot dogs?
And then, but when your team comes on, and you're holding these funny sort of things and these chants, it's really fun.
Well, the website was telling us about, if you want to take a placard, they've got, rules on what the dimensions have got to be. It's got to be 300 millimeters by 250 or something like that.
No, well, don't
break the rules.
Buy more. No, you buy them all there.
Yeah.
It's pretty expensive, I'll be honest, but it's a huge time.
Yeah.
A massive time.
Well, the reason we're going is because the flights were like super cheap, and Ado just had some kind of brain arrhythmia and just booked them.
Right.
And
see, this could go on forever.
Oh, we out of time.
Mate, an hour and 20 minutes.
Oh,
normally they only go for an hour.
Hour
and something.
Scratch the surface. We could do a whole episode on Japan.
Mate, well, let's keep going till these beers finish. Right?
All right.
Because I want to.
Oh, come back.
But what
you know what they say, when you have a job interview, if it goes for an hour, you're looking good. So
yeah. Yeah. Jeez. You ever had many of those lately?
No, actually. Not for a bit. Tend to get to an age where you don't really have job interviews anymore.
Right, yeah.
You sort
of... here's one.
Yeah.
Now that I've had one beer. The problem with the email, no, actually I don't want to talk about it. The kids, I've gone for, I've applied to 20 jobs. How'd you apply? I emailed.
Yeah.
That's not, you have to show up, right? You show up. You go, I'll work today. I remember my first job I ever got. I'll work today. I'll work this whole week for free.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, you can't
press
do that.
The flesh,
I'm here. You can smell me. I don't smell.
Yeah.
I passed the visual, or like the tests, the human tests.
Well, when you advertise on the internet,
do smell, but
yeah. Well, there's been worse things, but yeah, when you run a recording studio, you get contacted 1 or 2 times a week on average of someone who wants to be working in the music recording industry. And the music recording industry is kind of this fantasy that gets sold to kids that exists, and it doesn't exist, But some of the trouble that some people go to is really impressive. I'll get demos posted to me in physical mail, on a USB stick of
what I can do.
Yeah, what I can do.
Wow.
Here's what I've done, and it's it's probably more impressive than anything I've ever done. But they've had access to this ridiculous equipment when they've done their course at uni, and then you'll also get like misspelt messages on Facebook or email.
Yep.
Like one-liners.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You could be a real sweetheart bloke. You could be a great person, lady.
But
and you've shown up, and I got the.
Well, yeah, and I've had people who I've been that impressed with that if I had some sort of job going, I would definitely want to talk to them. But that happens to be an industry where there's no jobs going. If you want a job recording music, you've got to make that yourself.
Right.
You're
in the wrong town too. You're in the wrong.
Well,
city.
I think it's the same anywhere. The economics of running a recording facility and employing someone, it just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Studios. Well, studios here exist because someone has built it because they're the kind of person that just needs to have a recording studio. Like I was, I had to have one. I've spent 20 years needing one. So I went, made everything happen to make sure I had one. And, it took 3 years to build, and I laid it all the blocks myself. We did everything, me and my dad. But, the economics of that business don't work out. So you've got to have people who are just passionate about it. Same as speedway racing, same as, probably the same as bands,
You know what? Okay, here's one for you. North Sydney Song Zoo Studio.
Sun Zoo?
Song
Zoo. I've heard of it.
Well, it was okay. I did a string of gigs with a band called Headlifter.
Oh yeah, okay.
And then I owned a van, so we actually did a tour, East Coast tour with Headlifter and the old band I was in.
Sweet.
Got back to Sydney and they needed a van, and I went, hey, give us $50 a show, and pretty much 18 months went by, and the guitar, it was their band Headlifter was kind of like a metal band, really cool. I loved them, right? So they were great. The guitarist was a kid from Hong Kong, born in Sydney, but his parents are from Hong Kong. His dad, he's Adam Gock. Okay. His dad is Les Gock. Les Gock was in a really famous 70s. Why can't I?
We won't name them.
Moni, something like damn it. Anyway, remember Pop Stars? Remember that TV show Pop Stars?
Oh yeah, I remember that. It
existed. Yeah, well, Les Gock was the thing behind that. Anyway, right. what I'm saying here is here's a 70s pop star, Les Gock, right? Oh damn it, I'm gonna have to think of his name later. Who made a lot of money, still does today. Same with Adam, from just doing advertising and just doing
jingles and whatever.
Jingles, and they do all the TV show jingles now.
Yeah, well, someone's got to do that work, and it's going to be good musos.
Yeah. So
it's always guys you've heard of. It's the guy. What was the band that made the TV show Rugrats? It was some famous band. I don't know.
Not the Wiggles, obviously.
No, not the Wiggles. No, some other like sort of 90s band.
Don't know.
Someone will email you and tell you.
Right, but that's, in a place like Sydney, where there's a million corporate videos, a million, lots of advertising being made, that's probably the only place a studio, obviously it has to have someone heading the studio that can sell. And, and they still to this day, that studio's alive. That was 20 years ago.
Yep.
And picking up awards for all sorts of stuff.
There'll always be studios, there'll always be recording studios. But what's happening now, with my studio, I've got bands that'll come in and just, because it's a big room, really big room, sounds great with drums. I've got bands that'll just come in and just do their rhythm tracks in there and record the drums, but then they'll go home and do everything else at home,
Right.
And I think, that's probably the way people are working a lot these days because they can. So, it doesn't...
Not that fun, is it?
It's not, no, and it's not that organic, and you'll never get, I don't think you'll get the same result. Like I've had recordings where I've been sitting at the desk in my studio listening to a band play a song and I've just had chills, and then, a year later, the actual song that ends up coming out won't give me that, and I'll go back and listen sometimes to my original sort of board mix that we do that everyone takes to listen to in the car, and I'll think, man, you could have released that.
Right, yeah.
And you could have saved yourself a year in your home studio, and you could have spent that year writing new material. And I think that's where a lot of bands go wrong.
Of course.
You know, there's a lot to be said for just going into a really good sounding room